Hi, yo.
Welcome to the Embarrassed by Night podcast season 2. We're in Vietnam. This is the first episode that we're shooting outside of Los Angeles.
Oh yeah?
And so we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Phan Xinê.
Hello, hi.
I know you as your other name, but it took me a second to remember your very fancy name.
Yeah.
And then your other name is Phan Xinê, so
Yes, right.
that's your handle. I, as somebody who has also a fancy name, I really appreciate
Okay.
yours. But Phan Xinê, where did you get that name? I mean, I can imagine how you got from A to B, but
Well, back in the day when I was still kind of like teenager, I'm writing for this like magazine. It's called Book Team. It's a magazine for teenager, and then you had like pen names. In Vietnam, most of the writers they have like journalists, reporter, they have a pen name. So because like I want to write about movies, so my last name is Phan, and I like movies or cinema, so I put it together like Phan Xinê. So it's just like one of my 10 different pen names, but that one survived, and then that one become very popular, and then I use it after that for other newspaper and magazines, and then people get to know me. I use that for forum, during the 2000 when forum very popular.
Yeah.
So that nickname also one of my popular nickname on the movie forum.
Man, so that's almost a 30-something-year-old nickname.
No, it's not. It's like 25. Yes.
Nice. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to. Yeah, that's supposed to be like a half a century old, man.
I know. And then a lot of people, when I sometimes I call them and say, hey, this is Lin. It's like who's Lin? So I had Lin Phan Xinê, so they know. There's like so many Lins in the world, but only one Phan Xinê.
Right. So you've had a love for cinema from
when I was a kid.
Wow,
little boy. Yes.
What did it for you?
Well, my mom working in the like distribution company. So and then back in the day, it's like state-owned company. There's only one. It's like kind of like monopoly. So on a movie in and out, Vietnam always go through my mom's company, and so I have a chance to access to all the library, watching all the movies. Even when they do the censorship, I'm kind of staying in the projector room.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's like Cinema Paradiso, the movie, the Italian movie. Yeah. In that movie also, there's like a little boy growing up in the projector room. So I always consider myself like that.
Wow, that's like super exclusive.
Yeah.
Like nobody had access to that. I don't know too much about it, which is why I was so excited to talk to you.
Yeah.
I do know a little bit about like how the Korean film industry has become this behemoth that it is now.
Yeah.
Just through government decisions and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think that right now the Vietnamese film industry is kind of making those tactical moves now, or do you think that there's still like less interest in creating big blockbusters?
I think this is just like in my personal opinion. I also did research on Korean cinema history back in the day when I was a film journalist.
It's fascinating stuff.
Yeah, I like learning, analyzing like how they become like a big film industry. Of course, they got a lot of support from the government and from the chaebol, on the like rich family in Korea. But I don't see that gonna happen in Vietnam. Back in the day, I said, yeah, maybe, if we had the same support, maybe we would do the same thing. But, as I always go, and whenever I have a chance to talk to like young filmmakers, they talk about like how you become, the success. And then one day I realized that everyone have a different way, to be a successful filmmaker. So you cannot just copy someone, the way they become, successful filmmakers. You have to create your own way. Same with Vietnam, I think. We right now Korean film cinema industry have like going down after the COVID because during the COVID everyone start watching like streaming stuff. Netflix spent a lot of money after Squid Game, so the Korean audience they just like stay home and watching streaming content. Meanwhile in Vietnam, Netflix, Amazon, they just like, oh, we should come into this market, and then they say no, keep going like in and out like that. So the theater still, doing very well, and I think that's a good thing that for Vietnam cinema right now, we is one of the market that's like very strong in the cinema. Even though after the COVID, it's still people don't really go to see movie in theater. However, like this year, all of the top, I can say the top 10 movies in the box office, half of that is Vietnamese, and then the top 5 is like definitely is Vietnamese movies, like Hollywood movies, like even like big blockbuster flop in Vietnam. So.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I would have thought that. I remember when I was living over here, like Marvel was dominating.
Yeah.
But that's like worldwide.
Back in the day, yeah.
You were speaking about how you went from like studying that to actually. Can we talk about your journey to getting to USC, furthering your knowledge and your skills, and your decision to take it back to Vietnam, or if that was even a decision or always a plan?
Well, I I always want to learn about filmmaking, but I study architecture because like
that was undergrad.
For undergrad.
Okay.
Yeah. And because when I about to decide which college I should go, at the time the film school in Vietnam is not that good. Well, basically, if they are good, they make good movies. But back in the day, most of the Vietnamese film is just terrible. I think it's still terrible now, but in a way.
Learning.
Yes. And then I read from Vietnamese magazine that like James Cameron and Luc Besson is like two favorite director. They went to architecture school, but later I found out it's not true, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, maybe I should, like study architecture and follow those guy way, and then also, architecture school actually very popular in Vietnam. For all the guys who study there, all the girls, they really like, oh, you study in architecture school, you're architect, they really like.
So it was more accessible, and then you could take the lessons from architecture and apply them to filmmaking.
Yeah, like I found out about that later too. So I went to architecture school and then but I still want to do movies. And then luckily internet coming, so I start like go through internet, learning from internet, like all the thing about filmmaking, all the forums show up, movie forum. I joined like Vietnamese movie forum and also American movie forum. Back in the day, Rotten Tomato is just a movie forum, like I joined that one, like we go there and chit chat, talk about movie stuff. It's really fun. And then one day I just like, okay, I also start writing about movies. That's how I become kind of film journalist, film critic. But then I said, okay, if you want to be a filmmaker, you have to make movies. And so I quit my job and then applied for a scholarship, a fellowship from Ford Foundation. And they give me, I lucky I got, a chance to get the Ford Foundation. And then they say, okay, you have to apply for 4 big schools in America, like USC, UCLA, NYU, and Tisch.
Oh wow, that was.
And then one of them accept, then we will give you the money.
That was part of the deal.
Yeah, that's the deal.
So specifically just for film, or was that Pan Arts?
That's like film, that fellowship is just for film production, and they want us to apply for like big school. They're not like just like small school, So I, I think about like 6 months before I got that one, there's one event, one incident that actually like really inspired me. that is like biomechanic. He's an ex-CEO of Chinese Fox Century. Came to Vietnam, and then he had a workshop, and I have a chance to be a coordinator, like biomechanic.
What year?
I think it's like 2005.
So recent to have that like groundbreaking moment in like Vietnamese arts.
Yeah.
community.
So and then like Bill, he one of the member of like the USC BOD. So he told me, hey, Len, if you want to go to America to study about movie, you should apply for USC. I didn't know anything about USC up until that point, So he said, like, if you apply to USC, let me know. I can write a letter of recommendation.
Oh wow!
So and then, so when I said, okay, now I have to pick like one, from the four school, right? And actually that is September, and then September is mean you miss on the fall semester, and USC is the only school that has spring semester. So I have to apply for the spring semester. So I applied to USC. Actually, at first I want to apply for NYU, because like,
Oh, that's of course
like,
the
art and stuff, right?
Are you a big Woody Allen fan?
Yeah. So, but then like I think that turned out good in a good way. I applied for USC. I asked biomechanic, can you write a letter of recommendation? And they said, yeah, sure. So I also got the one who interviewed me for for the scholarship is David James. He also a head of what is it? Critical study at USC. And his special focusing on Asian cinema, and he really loved like Vietnam cinema. So David James also write a letter of recommendation for me. So I got that too. So that's how I got into USC.
That worked out probably for the better though, right? Because
yeah.
I can't imagine that NYU has that many Vietnamese students going there at the time.
Oh well, for USC the same thing. I'm the first Vietnamese at USC. And I wrote that in my letter. I said like, you know what? If you accept me, you will have a very first Vietnamese student in your school. There's like Vietnamese American in the school, but I'm the first like Vietnamese from Vietnam, at USC Film School.
That's a great selling point.
Yeah.
Like this is a big ass country, dude. You guys.
Yeah.
This is a good opportunity for you.
Yeah. Yes.
Nice. Well, and then I know that that's where you became pals with a lot of very influential Vietnamese American filmmakers, and got into like involved with East Films and beyond.
Yeah.
You probably know everybody now.
Yeah. I mean, the community is very small. Even in Vietnam, small. In America, even smaller.
And supportive.
Yeah, and very supportive. Yeah. So I'm very glad to know like a lot of people. Like for example, like Han Zheng, I know of him when I was a student, right? I watched his film actually in Bangkok. His first film, Journey from the Fall.
That was in Bangkok.
I went to Bangkok Film Festival to watch that film. That film never been released in Vietnam. Actually, it's banned in Vietnam. But I have a chance to watch his movie there. I got to say like, hey, hello, but of course, like, he didn't know who I am. Until very later when I become a filmmaker, I have a chance to talk to him more, and through some, like the VFF, like Vietnam International Film Festival.
Yeah, they've been putting on some great events.
Yeah, so through that, when I was in LA, I had a chance to go there and then seeing all the people, I meet up with people, and then I start to know like more and more. But also, during my time when I was a film journalist, I also had a chance to know a lot of filmmakers, interview them. Charlie, when he just come back to Vietnam, and Johnny Chinh. That's where during the time I'm, like a film journalist. So I have a chance to interview them and like support them for their movie, The Rebel. So I get to know, a lot of them.
The Rebel, if you haven't seen The Rebel, it's the first. How would you build a Rebel? It's kind of a monumental film, right?
Yeah, I think that's what, like, even up until now, I think it's still one of the best films in Vietnam.
It's like the first action blockbuster.
Yeah.
That was put out.
Yeah. And it's a lot of money because the budget is too high.
Oh really?
Oh yeah. I heard that the budget is like $3 million. even it's really high compared to now. So
I wonder why it's not on streaming actually. Like, why isn't it actually on Netflix?
I don't know.
Fury's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix bought Fury, right?
Yes.
So why don't they? I don't know. Okay, let's fast forward to now.
Yeah.
Where you have how many films under your belt now as a director?
As the director, like 4 films.
4 films.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And I'm producing 2.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, and you know, there's more coming up. Yeah.
One thing that I noticed about when I was looking at your resume was that you jump genres.
Yeah.
Which is very admirable because I can't imagine doing anything that's not mediocre stand-up comedy right now.
Yeah.
But what have you like learned from each foray into genre filmmaking in the Vietnamese market specifically?
Well, you know, my background, I'm have like a cinephile, right? So I love movies. Like, you know, it's consider like Quentin Tarantino, like he watching so many movies and then he become a filmmaker, right? I think I have like, in a way, very similar to that. That, you know, I growing up watching so many movies. So like whenever people are asking me like what genre that you like to make, I say like I don't know, like I like all kind of genre. So I'm kind of like exploring myself in a way.
Nice. You got time.
Yeah. Right.
You got time and you got the trust
Yes.
of movie studios.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, I understand, you know, the market here, you know, the audience. You know, some filmmakers, they say like, you know, we don't really care about the audience. Actually, I care more about like what kind of thing that I want to do. But also I understand that there's, you know, specific genre not have the right moment to do at that moment, you know, at the time. So for like, you know, when I just come back to Vietnam, I want to do some kind of like indie art house movie. You know, I spent 5 years bringing my script to like everyone that I know, like, you know, hey, can you like give me money to do this movie? And you know, like everyone say no, you know, this movie not gonna make money in Vietnam, you know. And I also applied to some like film festival, international film festival. And they also said, well, you know, your movie had no sex, no crime, no, you know, poverty porn, then what's the point, you know? And then so I said, okay. And then so that's where I said, okay, I need to prove that I can direct. But nobody believed, and then especially, you know, I was a film critic. And then, you know what they said about film critic, right?
Well, I know that there's a saying in English, those who can't teach. That must be similar.
Yeah, they're like those who can direct, you know, become a film critic.
Right.
Yeah, so so that's why like a lot of people say, oh, you write really good about like analyzing film, but we don't know if you can direct the movies, right? But if you don't direct them, there's no way you can prove, you know.
Yeah. So did you start doing a short or?
Well, I did short films, and then actually, I did one. I joined the 48 hours film project. It's like a film contest. You make movies for that. Like nobody take that seriously, you know. Like, you know, all the movies just like you make movies basically in 48 hours, you know. And so, but you know, I said, okay, I just do it for fun, you know, get to know more people. I want to build my own team. So we did that one, and then so luckily my film got, you know, award, but like especially during the ceremony, you know, there's a lot of audience. So one of the producers came to the screening, and then he saw how people react to my film, you know, like people laugh a lot. It's just like, it's a comedy, you know. And you know, before that, people think that I'm a serious guy. I always do like serious indie film, you know. So they very doubt that I can do comedy. And now this producer saw how my film make people laugh, you know. So he said, okay, this guy can do something.
And
so
what was that film?
The short film.
What was the short film? Yeah.
And I don't remember. It's 48 hours.
Yeah.
I think it's called something like Eternity, like a very weird title.
Okay.
But then my first feature is actually from that producer. He said like, Lin, we have a remake that maybe you can do. So it's a remake of Miss Granny. It's a Korean movie, which I also really love. Actually, I watched that film in a film festival, Okinawa Film Festival.
Mhm.
I'm not a really big fan of that type of movie.
What would you say that is, like a slapstick broad
It's kind of
comedy?
slapstick, But then when I watched that one, I say, oh, actually, it's not just like a slapstick comedy. It's also have a hurt, I watched that one. In the end, I cried. I say, holy shit! I didn't expect going to see a comedy and cry.
It's a body swapping comedy, right?
Yeah, it's a body swapping. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then body swapping. You have seen like so many, right? There's so many. This is not really body swapping, but it's kind of like that, So the old lady turned into her young self, right? But then they said, okay, we have that one. You want to remake? And I said, yeah, actually, I want to do some movie like that. Make people laugh and cry. And I said, if I say no, then I don't have a chance to show people how I can direct. So
That's a good practice round though.
Yeah.
Because the source material is there that you can always like pull from.
yeah.
And then if you want, you could just pull straight up Gus Van Sant and copy that bitch shot for shot.
Yeah.
So this is very interesting now. How did you take the elements that you liked from Korean comedy?
Yeah.
I mean, this is slapstick, so it's very broad, right?
Yeah.
But what kind of elements did you change up or even add to it to make Vietnamese audiences laugh?
Well, like the way I take a look at remake or adaptation is, you don't really think it's a remake. Just think it as someone gives you the script, you read the script, and then you say, okay, I like this one, I don't like this part, and a lot of script come to you and it's really bad, and then you have to revise and rewrite until it's become yours. So basically that's my process, right? I got the script and I say, okay, how I can turn it into my script, so that's part of my work. And then for Miss Granny, it's Anh là bà nội của anh, the main character, the lady actually, when I start writing that one, I said, okay, it's very similar to my mom and my grandmother. So I said, so whenever I look at that, I say, how's my mom or my grandmother will do in this scene, this stuff. So that's how I make it very personal,
Nice.
so their story. Yes, some people who watch the movie and then they went to my house and they saw my mom and they said, oh, this is like, they think that my mom is the actress in the movie because like even for the look I have like copy the look of my mom for the character.
Worked out.
So it worked out in that way.
I asked that. I'm super interested too. I did a little bit of work for VTV, and that is not a brag at all.
Yeah.
But I remember like we would be shooting stuff, and then I would see the finished product, and they would add so many like sound effects.
Oh yeah.
And like goofy graphics to just like be like, this is where you laugh. This is where you laugh. I'm like, can the subtlety just be there? But Vietnam just doesn't have the sense of humor is different.
Yeah, I think sense of humor is very different. I think it's the way they do like that. I think it's very similar to the Korean style. Adding more like some like little animation stuff. But if you look at American sitcom, right?
Yeah.
The laugh track is basically similar. Like here you laugh, right? And
90s and the 2000s for sure.
But of course nowadays they don't do that.
Yeah,
anymore.
single camera and gags that like almost blink and you'll miss them. That wasn't a criticism, but that was just something that I noticed, and something that I noticed whenever I was like would just be flipping through the channels here. It's like, wow, there's like you really hammer in that humor.
But like for my style, film, I don't do that. It's more about the situation. Sometimes if you cast the right actor, they have the very charming way to make people laugh without doing anything. Some actors, even their stare make people laugh. and then it's also go through editing too.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, I'm very lucky. I have two editors for my first film, and one of them is he's a Vietnamese American, like Andy Nguyen. And then I watched a short film. He studied I think NYU, and his style of editing very similar what my style of editing, because like we learn, you know, from US. So that's why I say, okay, like Andy, like do this with me. But then at the same time, I have another Vietnamese editor who understands the sense of humor of, you know, Vietnamese audience. So that's a very good combination.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you think that there will be Vietnamese films releasing abroad within the near future? Because I can say, like, among my peer group, like Vietnamese Americans, we don't know, we can't name a single like movie that came out in the last like 2 years that was like probably a huge hit in Vietnam, and that's a bummer. I mean, I can't, so I'm not trying to like point the finger at them, but it's just that there isn't that much, I guess, export yet. But do you know if there's like a push for that change to come?
I think, you know, they are doing now. Even for my first film, we released the film. We released like Miss Granny in America. Yeah.
Oh, at the time?
At the time, in 2016, and then it got to the top 100 in America.
Oh wow!
So it's not bad, right?
Okay, that's just totally my ignorance then.
You know, like when I take a look at the annual report from box office, you know, box office mojo, right? And I saw my film actually number 99, and say, man,
yeah,
it's
double
good.
digits.
Like you know, America, right? They release like, I don't know, like 500 movies per year, right? And then I got into the 99. It's not bad, you know.
Wow.
So yeah, but like for the last 2 years, there's several Vietnamese movie, you know, distributed in America. You know, like Bố Già, Nhà Bà Nữ, Đất Rừng Phương Nam, and Người Vợ Cuối Cùng, Last Wife, you know, Song of the South, House of No Man, you know, Daddy I'm Sorry. So like all the big hit in Vietnam, they release in America. However, I think the market is not that big for Vietnamese film, you know, because, well, first of all, like American audience, they're lazy to read subtitle. We all know that, you know, and to make the movie, you know, get more attention, you have to spend more money for PR marketing. But we don't have that much money to do, you know, and the market size is so small. So that's why, you know, they not many Vietnamese studio try to push that.
Well, let's look at one example that was just like a international phenomenon from a pretty overlooked international industries, RRR.
Oh yeah,
that was like everybody was talking about it in America.
Right. Yeah.
Can we make one?
Can we make one? I think, you know, like when the time is right, you know, we can make one. Like, you know, Bollywood, they make, I don't know, like 800, 1,000 movies per year, right?
Yeah.
And then for so many years, they got one RRR. Like Vietnam, we make only 30 movies per year.
But wasn't that like a planned attack? They were just like, let's get this dopest dude, and this dopest director, and put them all together and make it 3 hours long.
I think, you know, like, I think we try to do something, but it depends on luck too, you know. I don't think, but I think like every filmmaker, like when they do that movie, they always expect that movie gonna be, you know, like go everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But you know, life doesn't really that easy, so. But one day we can do RRR. When I first watched RRR, I just laughed and said, "Man, this movie is so funny, so ridiculous."
Yeah, it was
right?
It was very, very funny. But also, like, I would be like, "Why am I crying?"
Yeah.
It's so stupid. Why am I crying? Not stupid, but ridiculous.
Yeah. But that movie had like huge, big budget, right? Huge budget. But I don't think Vietnam can reach that level yet.
Putting all the chips. That's a big risk. As somebody who's kind of made a name for himself in the Vietnamese film industry,
are
you excited to see like all these younger, smaller studios, these like the new generation of filmmakers pop up and put out like some pretty fire stuff, short films and just stuff that I've seen like on video.
I really love to support like for young generation. I've been doing that for 14 years, 15 years. Yeah. You know, and 2010 I co-found online film festival. It's like online short film festival, and that one we try to support for young filmmakers to say, you know, their voice, independent voice in filmmaking. But that's before I become a real filmmaker. You know, that back in the day I'm still a journalist, film student, stuff like that.
So you started a film festival. That was like the first project before you even.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. So, well, because like we have the forum, you know, I'm kind of like the admin of the movie forum. So, and then from the movie forum, it's like we always want to do film festival, and so that's how we started.
Was that like one of the first film festivals in Vietnam?
Yeah, you can say that's one of the first independent film festival in Vietnam, but it's online.
Oh, cool.
Because like, you know, like for the law, we cannot do a film festival in Vietnam. Only the government can do, you know. So back in the day, we call it a film fest. It's called like Phan Xinê Film Fest. You know, so fest is like a party. So this is called Tịch Film, you know, a party of film. So
Cool.
it's not a really film festival.
You guys just like live watch them together?
We like watch that. We had the opening ceremony offline, and then the closing ceremony offline. But all the film we show it online.
That's very cool.
So and then that run for like 5 years, and then and then the thing is like a lot of people say like, oh, I'm only doing that because I cannot direct movies, so I'm using this as an excuse. But actually running the festival like take your time. You know, it's like it's a full-time job.
Oh yeah, I understand that.
So in 2014 I decided to leave the festival and you know jump in directing my film.
Is it still going strong though? Just under
no,
different staff?
after I left, then nobody really can carry that one. So
Yes.
it sucks, but you know it's done its mission. You know.
Yeah.
And then actually from that film festival, a lot of nowadays young filmmakers growing up and make their name. You know, so it's from that film festival.
And I'm sure you must have been able to find like some pretty talented youngsters that you wanted to just work with, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then now I have my new playground. You know, I created another one. It's called Cine House, and then it's kind of like a place for young filmmakers come and hang out. We have like class workshop and.
Oh, that's an actual
screening.
place.
It's an actual place. It's
Nice.
it's my own apartment.
Oh, nice.
So I just basically turned my apartment into
Film school.
a hub, you know. So like people can go there and we have screening, we watch movie together, talk about movie. I invite, you know, established filmmakers come and share the experience with, you know, young filmmakers, stuff like that.
Oh, that's
And we
awesome.
also do kind of every month we do, it's called like Cine Same Short. We show short film from you know, Vietnamese filmmakers around the world.
Oh wow.
And by the end of the year, we did we do a gala screening, and then so we invite everyone come, and then we give out awards. So that way I can find. I know like who's the new one, who's the talented one, so I can introduce them to, you know, other studio, so like try to connect them.
You experienced yourself how valuable it was to attend these kinds of film festivals that other people about.
Yeah,
That's
and then,
great.
I you know, I really like watching like new like Gen Z. They have a new idea.
Yeah,
they have
so
new
creative.
energy, so creative, and they're very different from my generation. You know, and then so I think they are the one who can bring like not just like the cinema industry, also like music industry, other industry to go pro like international level.
Speaking of the future, can we talk about your upcoming release?
Yeah,
I don't want to butcher the title of it, but what is it?
it's called Before Sex.
Before Sex.
Yes.
That to me just sounds like a very daring project to put out.
Yeah, it's a daring project. I think this is the very first feature film in Vietnam talk about sex. Like literally, we discuss about sex.
And this is a country that, I don't know if it's happening now, but for a while, like, blocked all porn sites.
It's still,
It's still blocked?
yeah,
Okay.
still block on the porn site. Yeah.
So how did you, like, sell people on this idea?
But everyone wants to know about sex, right? But it's not really. This is not a sex movie, right? It's called Before Sex, it's not during sex.
Yeah, you know what? I just blew my own cover, and then I was thinking like, oh, this is just gonna be a raunchy.
Yeah.
Is it? Would you consider it a raunchy comedy?
A little bit, not really. It's a romantic comedy.
Okay.
It's a romantic comedy. It's about on the awkward situation before sex of like young couples run into, and it's not about sex. It's really about love and trust and sympathy in the relationship. It's a modern dating life, So and then in the movie, we see different type of young couples. Some people like, okay, we just want to have one night stand. Some like just like find a benefit. But some is like, no, we some couples like they are like long-term relationship. They haven't had sex for a long time, but now they want to try something new. So we discuss all type of that, but it's just we talk about that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. See, my American millennial mind was like, oh, you're making an American Pie.
Yeah.
Vietnamese American Pie, which is not. It doesn't sound like that at all. It sounds like a quite nuanced like exploration of what.
Yeah, it's really a romantic film, but with a little bit talk about sex.
Gotcha.
But sex is a part of the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
So and then in the film, like in the first 5 minutes, they talk about should we have sex without love or should we love and then have sex.
Mm.
So
it's totally more mature than I thought.
Yeah.
See, I grew up with fucking like all these like national like Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah.
And where it was just.
But like the filmmakers, we like the talent in the film, they are quite young, and there's like first time directors too. So I produce,
Oh, gotcha.
I don't direct this one. I don't know how to direct this one.
Sure.
There's like young directors, and then with like new talent, and then also like even the writer, they are new, so they bring in what they feel is a part of their life, is a part of their questions like for daily life, so.
That's nice. That's a nice precursor too. So now my next question is, when do you think we will get a Vietnamese pie?
We get a Vietnamese pie. Well, I think that concept a little bit old. The kids nowadays, they watch even like Vietnamese Gen Z watching American Pie. I think it's old fashioned. Like a lot of like kids nowadays, they having sex when they're like 14, 16 years old.
So it's not even like taboo or anything. It's just like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised. My generation, right? We don't talk about sex. We don't have sex up until later. But nowadays, kids like they talk about that. It's normal. It's like why are you scared of talking about that? So it's very different. Very different. Yeah.
That's so great to hear.
Yeah.
Gen Z is so fucking cool.
Yeah. Internet, really ruined everything.
For guys like us.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think like American Pie, the thing is, it's a old-fashioned concept, man. Yeah.
That's really good to hear too, because I don't know if I want a Vietnamese pie. I was just curious to see if that would ever happen.
Yeah.
I'd probably roll my eyes hard.
Well, but like actually, before sex, we have some moment, like you can get the feeling of American Pie a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, like awkward moment. I want to ask you, like, what kind of movie that you want to watch for Vietnamese movie?
Fucking Jurassic Park. Is
Oh
there
yeah. Okay.
like good CGI. I have
Yeah.
yet to see.
Have you watched my third movie, Dumpling?
No, I missed it at Film Fest.
Yeah, so you should watch that one.
I saw
and
it.
tell me like how you feel about the CGI. I'm really proud of that one.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll put that on my list. I
Yeah.
saw that it was a family film, so I was gonna wait to watch it with my mom.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Fury,
Okay.
and then Fury 2. I was like, what happened?
Yeah.
Um,
What you don't like about Fury 2?
the action sequences were a little bit too. It was over the top. But I'm just not somebody who's good at suspending their disbelief
Mm-hmm.
in
Okay.
kinds of scenes like that,
Yeah.
unless they look awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of looks shitty, and you're like, ah, it kind of takes myself out of it.
Yeah.
But the concept was good.
You watch any Vietnamese comedy?
No, but could you recommend them to me?
Yeah, like what's comedy? It's hard.
It is hard.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to think. But you know what's funny? People always think that like Vietnamese audience only watch like comedy, but actually there's not many comedy become success in the box office like recently. You know, like if I had to name some like successful comedy in Vietnam in the last 5 years, I cannot name one.
But they're the cheapest to make, right?
But it is well, like every film in Vietnam is quite cheap
Oh,
to make
okay.
in a way.
So the
compared
box
to
office-
American movies. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But the thing is, the movie that make money actually drama. And a lot of people say, oh, like Vietnamese people don't watch like drama, but they actually like the two biggest movie. People think it's comedy, but it's actually drama. It's like Bố Già, That I'm Sorry, and Nhà Bà Nữ, like House of No Man.
Mm-hmm.
They are both drama. It's like family drama, So,
Gotcha.
so I think that's also something quite interesting.
Everybody can get down with a good dramatic story.
Yeah.
Comedy is a little bit more.
Yeah.
You either like it or you don't.
Yeah. And then nowadays, they like online audience. I don't know about like real audience, but online audience, because I can read their comment. They always think like comedy is something like very cheap. And for me, that's a little bit sucks in a way because we need laugh, right?
Right.
Yeah, like I love comedy. I watch like old comedy, even like silly comedy like Dude Weighs My Car, that's my style of
Hell yeah.
comedy.
Hell yeah.
Like American Pie, Dude Weighs My Car, those kind of like Austin Powers, very silly
Yeah,
comedy.
ridiculousness.
Yeah, but it's fun, like you embrace that and you just laugh, have a good time. You don't even have to think about it. Watching movie. A lot of people want to watch the movie and have to think about it after you leave the theater.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more like I go to the theater. I just want to be entertained, and then I go home, and then I don't have to think about that. I have so many things to think about in my life. So
Just take
I,
a mental break.
yeah.
I mean, that's why, like in America, you have shows like The Office and 30 Rock and Parks and Rec that are just going to be playing forever. The Simpsons,
Yeah.
Futurama, they're going to be playing forever because people like to just have them on in the background.
Yeah.
Just have that like company. But I
Yeah.
can't see that. I don't know if that's like a Vietnamese concept, just to have like
Yeah.
silly shit going on, just for the vibe.
Yeah, I don't see that yet, But I think maybe there are, which I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to bring a Gen Zer on here
Yeah.
so that they can tell us what they like.
Yeah. Because we cheer.
Well, you know what that dog sound means.
Yeah.
That does it for another episode of Embarrass My Night. I want to thank my guest, Phan Xinê, Phan Nhật Linh, for coming out and talking shop with us. Talking shop. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, man. We'll see you next time. I will put a link to all the films they talked about and also the Cine House
Yeah.
It sounds like just an amazing project. So thanks, buddy.
Okay, thank you, Fred.